All right. How's everyone doing out there? Oh, good. We are live. We are loud. All right, everyone. Where were we? Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Aquarium of the Pacific's Online Academy. Our microphone batteries went out on us, so we had to replace those real quick, but we are back. We are live. We are ready for Draw With Us. I am so excited that you're all joining us today. We're going to be exploring this habitat right here. This is a local habitat, but we're going to put a twist on it. Today we're going to be drawing a stormy sky up above to represent the local weather that we're dealing with right now. And then we're going to draw this beautiful kelp forest habitat down below. So we're going to try to put ourselves out of our classroom, out of our bedroom, out of our living room, out of our studio, and out into that natural habitat outside and try to transport all of us there. So if this is your first time joining us, it's a Draw With Us program. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grab some supplies. You're going to want to get a piece of paper, some markers or colored pencils or crayons or anything that you have to create art. Then, throughout the program, you're going to be wanting to watch, learn, ask questions, and listen to all of the things we're discovering as a team. And then you can always participate by texting us at this phone number right here, 562-286-1838. Now, I have Cynthia out here manning that text line, and as you send in questions or observations or anything like that, maybe even your picture of your artwork at the end of class, she can take that information, all those texts you're sending, and send some of them in to me. Now, we're going to do our best to answer a lot of them live. However, that's not always the case. You might also get a text response. That's going to be coming from Cynthia. And then, of course, I have someone controlling the magic going on behind me, and that is Sarah. Sarah's going to be controlling all of the things that you see on the screen behind me. I'm in front of what's called a green screen. So what you're seeing is this beautiful kelp forest. But in reality, I'm just looking at a green sheet hanging on the wall. Technology is pretty fantastic. So go ahead. I'm going to give you a minute to grab all of your drawing tools. I'll step off screen, let you pause, get some inspiration before we get started. Oh, and one last thing. If you see down here, if you're not watching this program live at 9 o'clock in the morning Pacific time on Wednesday, March 3rd, thank you, Sarah was holding up a 3 to help me out. If you're not watching within that 30-minute window, go ahead and instead of texting us your questions, do us a favor and email your questions. So if you are watching live, 9:05 right now in the morning, you're going to text us. If you are watching afterwards, go ahead and email us. All right, everyone. Go grab your supplies, and we'll be back in just 1 second. Some of my supplies. I like to do this on a whiteboard. So I've got my handy-dandy whiteboard and my dry erase markers. Whoa, check it out. See how the two in the middle are see-through? That is because they're green. So remember I said this green screen was back there? Well, my middle markers are green as well. All right, so I've got my supplies going, but before we really get started, I want to think about what we're drawing. Let's take a look at this image right here, this video. What angle are we looking at? Are we looking from down below? No. Are we looking from up above? Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of have what I like to call a snorkeler's eye view on our kelp forest habitat right here. Now, kelp, that's this stuff. That's this long algae growing up from the rocks. Now, in particular, we are looking at giant kelp. And giant kelp gets its name because it grows from the very, very bottom and it goes doot, 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 all the way up to the top of the sea floor. And that's what we're going to start with. Now, before we go over to our drawing pad, Ricky wants to know, Ricky sees all of the fish, which is a really great observation, especially these three big ones right here. We got some right here and there and there and there and there and there and there. We could be here all day. And Ricky wants to know, what are fish's favorite food? Are some of them vegetarian? Ricky, that's a great question. And the answer is yes, there are vegetarian fish out there. Now, they're not vegetarian in the sense that some of us might be vegetarian, right? They're not out there eating their carrots and their broccoli and their kale. But wait a second. Sarah, Cynthia, last time I looked in our fridge, I saw broccoli and kale. That's because some fish feed on algae. Now, that's right, giant kelp is a type of algae, but there's also a lot of other algae out there. And some fish will pick and scratch the algae that grows on rocks. Now, here at the aquarium, we don't always want algae growing in our exhibits because it can make it really hard to see. So to supplement the diet of our vegetarian fish, just like you and I, we actually give our fish broccoli, and we give them lettuce, and we give them all sorts of green nutrients that we might think of as vegetarian food for humans. Now, for those fish that aren't eating vegetarian algae, instead they might be feeding on other fish. For example, this big giant sea bass right there. They like to feed on small fish and squid and all sorts of critters that live in the ocean. So oftentimes a fish's favorite food is seafood. That makes sense, huh? All right, let's go check it out. So we're going to start, like I said, we're going to go over to my document camera. You're going to see my art creation as I make it. Let me go ahead and get all set up, turn the light on for you. Okay, now there's always a big glare, so I got to kind of work on it. Ooh, that's not bad, except for the light is very, very bright right here. All right. That's looking pretty good. Ooh, what if I can do... There we go. So, remember I said algae, like giant kelp, can grow from the very bottom of the seafloor all the way up to the top. So, we're going to start by making the top of the ocean. I'm going to do a line right across here. First, watch me, then we can do it together. So, I'm going to put a line. But remember, my friends, we're doing stormy seas. So, I am going to go like this. I'm going to make a big wave, and then kind of bring it back, and then a big wave, and bring it back. And we're going to make it really, really rough water, and a big wave, and come back. So it's really rough water on the surface. Can you do that for me? All right. So you can see I did a bunch of waves like this. I did rough water like this. The cool thing about the surface of the ocean is in a storm, it can be really crazy and dynamic. Some other ways you can do it, I'm going to do a couple different variations. So you can start like that. You can do big peak waves like this. This is what we get when the wind blows across the surface. We get little waves like this. Okay? You can do... Let's see, like this, whoosh, and then it comes back, and then whoosh, whoosh. So waves rolling across. There's all sorts of ways you can make our water. So those are just some examples. Now I'm going to have you make yours. What do you want your ocean water surface to look like? Remember, we're in the middle of a storm. I think I'm going to kind of go with that third one. Except for my hand and my mind want to do two different things. Okay, so there's my rough surface water. Now, remember I said kelp grows from the very bottom of the sea floor. So we're going to go down to the bottom and we're going to add rocks, right? So I'm going to have a big tall rock on this side, maybe some small ones over here. Big tall rock on this side. Some small ones over here. Now I'm going to use a couple different colors. I'm going to do with black. I'm also going to do brown. All right, so giant kelp grows from the floor to the surface. So we've at least got the space for giant kelp to grow. Now let's go ahead and head back to the blue cavern for a moment. While we do that, I'm going to answer Yasmin's question over here. Yasmin wants to know, have any baby fish been born at the aquarium? What about giant sea bass like this one right here? Yeah, that's a great question. So some of our fish are from other aquariums. Some of our fish are from the ocean. And some of our fish are born right here at the aquarium. Now, this is a giant sea bass, and we're going to draw one of these here in a little bit. But what's so fun about giant sea bass is These animals are a great story because they were almost hunted to extinction. Right now, what that means is we almost wiped out all of the giant sea bass here in California, but we then protected them. And since we put protections on these animals, we've seen the population grow, and we've got all sorts of sea bass left. Now, here at the aquarium, we have actually been successful in raising some. Oop, I keep stepping in front of the beautiful photos Sarah's putting on. Believe it or not, my friends, that little guy right there is a baby giant sea bass. Now, it's only about this big. Only that big. Just like that. And then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and that fish is eventually going to be bigger than me. That's why we call them giant. So yeah, we have had babies. In fact, we have one that's about almost 4 years old, maybe 3.5 right now, named Utaka. And we also have a couple of babies. The Aquarium of the Pacific has also released some babies back out into the ocean, and we're learning how we can help grow that population. So a lot of amazing things that we do here with our baby fish. Great question, Yasmin. All right, let's jump back to Blue Cavern. So, again, kelp grows from the bottom. This is another one. This is called the amber forest. Here's the bottom. Here's some of those big rocks we just drew. And here's the surface. So look at this kelp right there, growing all the way down here to all the way up here. Now, kelp can be kind of hard to draw, so I'm going to show you 2 or 3 different ways to do it. Here's another picture. There's the rocks way down there, right? We just drew some of those. And the kelp comes all the way up. Let's go back to our drawings and see what we can do. Okay, so I'm going to use a couple different greens. Now remember, I said I'd show you a handful of ways to do this. Now my favorite way of drawing kelp, because it's so easy, is just going like this. Squiggly line, and come back down, squiggly line. And there you kind of get a long blade of kelp. Squiggly line, squiggly line, squiggly line, squiggly line. And it's pretty hard to mess up. Now, another way we can draw our kelp is to get a little bit more technical with it. So kelp, giant kelp, is held on by a part of its body called a holdfast. Okay? Now, the holdfast is kind of like roots, only instead of being underground, they just hold on to the rock. So we're going to go like this. We're going to draw a holdfast. And remember, it kind of looks like roots, so it's kind of going to look like that. Then they have a long stalk that goes all the way up to the surface. Okay? Boop. Then they have blades. But what they do is they have a little bulb right here. So I'm going to draw a bunch of those. Okay, just like this. Almost like we're drawing a beanstalk. All the way up to the surface. Then off of there, they have these long kelp blades. Like that. All the way up to the surface. Now, sometimes kelp blades get ripped, right? So if you want, you can draw one that was ripped. There you go. There's a ripped kelp blade. Sometimes they fall off completely and there's just like a little burp hanging out. So you can always draw that. Sometimes they don't go all the way up to the surface because they've been ripped up by storm water, kind of like what's out there right now. So you can always stop there. Now I'm going to take it all the way up to the top just to show you. Whee! But the amazing thing about giant kelp is it can actually grow taller than that. Whee! However, it doesn't grow out of the surface of the ocean. Instead, it falls over on the top. So if you want, you can always go like this and continue to draw your beautiful kelp. So again, that's one way, right? So that's the second way. I encourage you to make one of those to look at either of those and try to draw it how you want. I might do a combination. I might start with my holdfast down here and then do my squiggly lines. I think what I like about the squiggly lines is it's a little bit faster. And so I can draw kelp there. I can draw kelp coming off of right here. Right? It's a little bit easier. I can maybe draw some right here. I'm so excited to see your artwork after this class. It's going to be great. So now, all of a sudden, we have all this beautiful kelp growing in our stormy seas. So let's go ahead and jump back to, let's go to Amber Forest. All right, now take a look at this. What color fish seems to stand out to you the most? I see that one. And I see that one. Oop, right there. And that one. And that one. And even this real bright one right down there. So I tend to be drawn towards the orange fish. Now, we have a really special orange fish here in California. In fact, it's our California state marine fish. Let's go ahead and check out what fish that might be. Sarah's going to throw it up on the screen. Oh my goodness. Now, are they really this big? No. This is a Garibaldi, and they're usually only about the size of a football or so. But Garibaldi, as you can see, are bright, bright orange. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of color to our drawing right now. And we're going to focus on the heart-shaped tail of our Garibaldi. Ooh, now while we do this, Roslyn wants to know, do giant sea bass have predators? And I want to answer this right now because it might surprise you. Now, once they become full adults, giant sea bass really don't have a ton of predators because, like I said, this fish is bigger than me. Now, giant sea bass can be hunted by sharks, but again, once they're really big like this, they kind of are the top predator in a kelp forest habitat. However, that bright orange fish we were just looking at, the Garibaldi, this little fish, remember, it's only the size of a football. This fish is very territorial, right? And they like to defend their habitat and they like to push other fish out. And so Garibaldi will actually chase off huge giant sea bass because they get annoyed that they're coming through their home. So we're going to draw a couple of Garibaldi, but we want to make sure that we draw them spread out. Garibaldi aren't typically hanging out together unless they're like going for food. So let's go ahead and draw a couple different Garibaldi habitats, little homes. I'm going to draw one Garibaldi that likes to live over by this kelp. Now remember, I said they have a heart-shaped tail, so I'm going to start by drawing a sideways heart. I know that's right in the glare. Let me see if I can move it. There you go, sideways heart. And then I'm just going to draw a little fish body. Whee! Kind of looks like a goldfish. All right, let's do another one. Maybe, I think there's a Garibaldi that likes to hang out right here. We're going to draw another little heart-shaped tail. And a little fish body. There's our Garibaldi. All right. And I think I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do one that likes to hang out over here, but it's going to be a small one. Now, Sarah, do we have a picture of a baby Garibaldi? Yep. Whoa. Okay, so that looks different. What do you notice about this baby Garibaldi? What colors do you see that weren't on the adult? Yeah, that's right. It's got blue spots. So remember I said they're very territorial. But when they're babies, they have to still move around through the ocean and find their own territory. So these blue spots are kind of their way of telling all the adults in the area, like, hey, I'm just passing through. I'm doing my own thing. You do your own thing. And they're being a little bit more careful, right? They're kind of announcing that they're not there to steal a territory. So we're going to go ahead and add blue spots to the baby Garibaldi I just drew. Right up here in the corner, and I'm just going to go dot, 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 dot. There we go. Baby Garibaldi. All right, now let's go ahead and draw our giant sea bass because I know we've all been very excited with that. I'm going to take a black marker, and I had to draw a giant sea bass one time, and I was really scared because it's a big fish and it's hard to draw. And then my friend Emily said, giant sea bass aren't hard to draw. And I said, what do you mean? It's a huge fish. She said, yes, but if you think of it instead as a football with a frown, it gets much easier. And I thought, a football with a frown. All right, let's see what she's talking about. So we're going to draw a football. Okay, we're going to go like this. One line, like that. And then the next line. One line, like that. Now, a football with a frown. That means it has to have a grumpy face. Ooh. And two eyeballs. But it's a fish, so it's got fins, right? So we're going to draw a tail back here. Oops, I turned the light off. Oh, that's actually kind of nicer, huh? We're going to keep the light off. And then they also, let's go ahead and throw that adult back on the screen for a real quick second here. Do you see the polka dots? Giant sea bass are so cool because each individual giant sea bass has its own pattern of polka dots. And so we're going to go ahead and add some polka dots, but every one of our giant sea bass can be different and can be unique. Let's see, I'm going to shade the back of the tail like that one had. We're going to add some polka dots here and there and there and there. Now they kind of blend in with the eyes, so you just got to get creative. And then they also have fins on the bottom. And they have a big, long fin on the top. Kind of looks like a mohawk. There you go, my friends. There is our football with a frown, also known as a giant sea bass. Now, right here, we've been drawing a lot of fish, right? We drew our Garibaldi. We drew our giant sea bass. We also drew a lot of algae. We drew a lot of kelp. We've got this one and that one. We also, of course, have the non-living factors. We've got the water, the stormy weather on top, right? We can add that in a moment. And we've got the rocks. However, there's a lot of invertebrates that live in kelp forest habitats. And invertebrates are animals that don't have a backbone. So imagine if I took all your backbones. Ready? On the count of 3, I'm taking all of your backbones. 1, 2, 3. Oh my gosh, Sarah just hit the floor. That's right, because we don't have any structure to our body without a backbone, right? We don't have any way to stand up. And so, all these animals that don't have backbones that live inside the kelp forest, they're going to be a little bit different. For example, crabs. Well, crabs have structure because of their shell. Lobsters, right? Let's go ahead and draw a lobster here in a second. And also, one of my favorites inside kelp forests are sea urchins. A beautiful purple sea urchin. We're going to hit the lobsters and the sea urchins here. First, Sarah's going to see if she can find a picture of either of those and show one of them on the screen. She's scrolling through. Oh, we don't have a full body of a lobster, but this is a really cool image because when you think of a lobster, what do you usually think of? Aha! You're right, claws, right? However, the lobsters that we have here in California, they're a little bit different. They're called spiny lobsters. And if you take a look at this photo here, you can see all these amazing spines, all these little dots on their back. They're actually spines. Look at their little antennae right here. Look at all those spikes. Even all the way up here. It's kind of hard to see it, but this whole antenna has spikes on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw our lobster. And we're not going to draw claws. We're going to draw little body set parts, and then we're going to draw some legs, and then we're going to draw a long antenna. Okay? Now, lobsters like to hang out under rocks. So I'm going to draw mine inside this little cave over here, this little cover. Now, remember I said body parts. So lobsters have those nice tails, right? That's how lobsters swim. Ooh, we do have a moving video here in just a moment. Going to do that, and then we're going to draw a body part here. I'm just going to make kind of a oval. Okay, I have some black ink on there I got to get rid of. Okay, I'm going to make another oval. Beautiful. Okay, and then I'm going to add legs. And then I'm going to add really long antenna. And there's my little lobster friend. There you go. So oftentimes we'll see little antennas sticking out from underneath rocks before we even see the lobster. Now Sarah said she's got a really cool video of them moving. Let's go ahead and check it out. Whoa. Whoa. That is cool. Check out how they crawl. Ooh. So again, we drew that big fan tail. And then we drew that part of the body, and then that part of the body, and then we drew those long antenna. Wonderful video. Let's go ahead and watch it one more time. Check out how it holds onto the rock. Pretty cool, huh? Do you see the spikes we talked about? All right, that is Awesome. I think that really inspired me to draw one more lobster because they're so cool. This one, though, is going to be a little braver. It's going to be out here. So we're going to draw, it's going to be hanging out underneath our giant sea bass. Again, I'm going to draw the tail, just like that. And then a body part. And then a body part. And then all the little legs. And 2 really long antennae. I love it. I'm going to color in that tail. All right, now last but not least, friends, we are running out of time here. I want to add one more animal. Remember I said it was the purple sea urchin. So purple sea urchins are important to add into our kelp forest habitats because purple sea urchins actually are one of those vegetarians we talked about, and they like to feed on algae. They like to feed on giant kelp in particular. So check it out. They're kind of a big circle, right? Whee! With all sorts of spikes coming off of it. So that's what we're going to draw. We're going to draw a circle with a bunch of spikes. Let's go ahead and do it. Now, just like our lobsters, our urchins are also often found under rocky ledges. So I'm going to do mine right here. And urchins can hang upside down. How cool is that? So I'm going to draw my purple circle, just like that. And a whole bunch of spikes. And I'm going to do another urchin up top here. Going to do it right there. And a whole bunch of spikes. And you know what? I love urchins so much. I'm going to draw one more. But it's going to be a little one. It's going to be a little one right here in this little divot. Tiny little circle. And a bunch of little spikes. Just like that. Might not even know it was there. Sometimes there's a lot of critters hanging out in kelp forest that you might have to look a little bit harder for. All right, now last but not least, in these last minute and a half of class, what we're going to do is we're going to add the stormy weather. So I'm going to look to where I put my black marker here a minute ago. Oh, found it. I'm going to draw rain clouds. Okay. Rain clouds are a little bit different than a lot of our other clouds, right? We think of clouds as nice and white and fluffy. Rain clouds tend to be a little bit thicker and darker. So I'm going to add some rain clouds up here, kind of shade it. And then we're going to get some raindrops going. Raindrops are easy, right? It's just water falling out of the sky into more water. Just like that. Just a bunch of lines coming down. Now, I'm going to finish mine off by kind of coloring it in. So I'm going to just very gently go like this. Add some of that blue ocean water. Doesn't have to fill in every little gap, right? It's just going to be a very rough color in. Oops, not there. Whee! All the way down by my lobster so that it knows it has plenty of water to hang out in. I might even take some brown, color in my rocks. Just marking up this thing all over the place. All right, looking good. I'm so excited to see yours. Okay, and then last but not least, I think I'm going to add a little bit more color to my kelp. Just fill in some of those big gaps we made. All right, my friends, so I hope throughout this class, by checking out some of the animals that call our local kelp forest home, by creating that weather that's going on right outside our windows right now, I hope we were able to transport you out of wherever you're at and into this beautiful kelp forest habitat right here that we just, ooh, whoa. Remember that green screen I talked about? So let's check it out. So all of this green stuff that I drew is now see-through when I hold it up against the green screen, because the way the computer works, is it identifies green and it fills in whatever image you want on that greenery. So that's why my picture looks a little bit different here. That is cool. All right, so Let's go ahead and throw those numbers back. Oh, perfect. And then maybe throw us back into Blue Cavern here. So once again, I hope we were able to transport you out to a beautiful kelp forest habitat. I hope you were able to learn a little bit about some of our local animals. Again, our California state marine fish right there. Our giant sea bass. There's one swimming right there. Our urchins, our lobsters. Maybe you can continue to discover some local kelp forest habitats on your own. You can always add them into your drawings. Now, once again, we love to see your artwork. So if you are willing, remember standard texting rates do apply. Make sure you have adult permission. Go ahead and text us an image of your artwork that you just created right there at 562-286-1838, or email it to us live at lbaop.org. Teachers, I know that we do have a lot of school groups joining us. If you're watching this program this morning, if you could do us a favor and text us the number of students you have watching with you. We like to keep tabs on how our viewers or how our viewership is. So again, teachers, do us a favor, text us in the number of students that are watching with you. Everyone else, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you had fun discovering a little bit about our local habitats. Stay dry out there, and we will see you next time. At 10 o'clock, we are doing a Spanish class all about sharks, the best, right? So we're going to learn a little bit about sharks in Spanish with Cynthia here in about half an hour, and we hope to see you all there. Bye, everyone. Have a great Wednesday.